A possible armed suspect on a motorcycle fled from Los Angeles police during a wild chase. A possible armed suspect on a motorcycle fled at high speeds during a wild chase in Los Angeles. Tuesday afternoon, May 27th. During the chase, the suspect drove on sidewalks and overtook other cars on busy roads.
Showing signs of getting onto the freeway here. He's just crossing Central Avenue. Looks like he's on his phone again, trying to make a phone call, speeding down Imperial Highway here. So we'll see what they decide to do here. But right now, he is driving way too dangerously to continue the pursuit on the ground. Right now, you can see him actually doing wheelies, speeding right through intersections. And just a few moments ago, guys, even riding onto the sidewalk without any hesitation whatsoever. So a dangerous rider on this bike here, believed to be armed and full of antics as he continues this pursuit, guys. Oof. Well, I mean, he's got some more suburban traffic at each of these stoplights, and he's got opportunities to get on the freeway. As far as I am aware, he has not actually traveled on the freeway. He's taken surface streets to get down in this area, but he is not stopping for any of these red lights. He encounters more of that traffic and just has no hesitation, splitting lanes, going right through cars, and at times, as I mentioned, even jumping onto the sidewalk. So it is a hairy pursuit to say the least. Look at this, more pedestrians, bicyclists, slowing down at least. He's braking, but he is continuing to run right through the red light, just waiting for cross traffic to pass here. At least he's braking. Some encouraging signs there that he's not completely out of his mind, but certainly a very dangerous person behind the wheel here of this motorcycle as he now goes underneath the Harbor Freeway here, underneath the 110 freeway, and this might put him, well, yeah, he's going to continue down 115th. He's on 115th, passing Figueroa, showing signs of making a northbound turn now, northbound on Denver Avenue. So northbound Denver from Imperial, and slowing down at least just a little bit at times. When he's got free range, he really was pushing the speed limits. Now you can see him slowing down at least a little bit here. I don't know how much more he can have in this bike, but they don't get great gas mileage. Unclear how much he started with here. At some point, that's going to become an issue the way he's been riding, guys.
It looks like he's also on the phone with somebody. We're seeing him kind of speak possibly on speakerphone, and then he's holding the edge of the phone up, it appears, to his ear to try to see what the individual he is speaking to is saying back to him. So that also, I mean, obviously we're told when we're in our cars, don't talk on your cell phone while you're driving. Certainly don't talk on your cell phone while you're in the middle of a police pursuit on a motocross bike, whipping through traffic. So that's just adding to the danger here for this driver.
Yeah, and here's, as he's going northbound on Figueroa Street, heading northbound toward downtown, my concern here is that, he could be talking to somebody who's watching our coverage.
Yeah.
And getting information in real time about where the police might be, what tactics they might employ. We don't know that that's what's happening, but he is, it would appear, communicating or at least listening to someone and trying to get information, we presume, relating to his current position, which is that he's being pursued by the LAPD, who want very much to stop him from doing what he's doing. The belief is, or the report is, that he had a weapon, and they want to ascertain whether, in fact, that happened. Look at that. He just ducked back there, and now he's heading, continuing northbound on Figueroa from Century. Northbound from Century and heading again. He's going to just head toward the USC, the USC area, and then beyond that, it'll be into downtown. There's a lot of traffic this time of day that starts stacking up, especially on Figueroa. It's a major north-south artery, an alternative to the Harbor Freeway that a lot of people use at this time of day when they don't want to spend all their day on the freeway. So he's going to encounter a lot of traffic.
Pretty
people out.
Moderate traffic, I would say, on the northbound side of the 110 freeway. That'll give LAPD, though, plenty of opportunity to get onto the freeway with him, and they were positioned to do that. They'll probably be popping into the shot here at any moment. California Highway Patrol also tracking this pursuit. This is now on the freeway, so that is part of the course here, par for the course, I should say. And he is now splitting those lanes, probably going to put a little more distance as those units close in on him as he passes Vernon Avenue.
Yeah, does it appear that he's going a bit faster now? From our vantage point, maybe it looks like it.
Yeah, really. He's kind of going with the traffic here, and it's a little bit of an optical illusion, too. As we approach him, you'll start to get a better idea of his speed, but we're kind of directly behind him, shooting from a distance. A little bit hard to tell. He's probably doing right around the speed limit with the rest of the traffic here. Northbound through Vernon, northbound 110 freeway. We'll see if he picks up any speed here. Of course, the more speed he picks up, the more fuel he's going to exhaust here, and that'll only limit his ride even further here. But he is picking up a little bit of steam now, pulling over to the right lane, might even be thinking about getting off the freeway.
All right, and let's talk for a second about what tactics they can employ here against a motorcycle. They can't really use a spike strip, right? Or I guess they could if they could make sure that he would run over it, but they can't use a pit maneuver against him because that could be considered almost lethal force, I think. So yes. What in terms of the tactics that the pursuing officers can employ, they're kind of limited.
No, those tactics are all off of the table with a motorcycle. Yet another reason why these motorcycle pursuits, or in this case a dirt bike, are so precarious, because you really are limited in terms of the options that law enforcement has at their disposal. The best they could hope for is that he boxes himself in, and by being in the right position, they could be ready for the termination of the pursuit. But unless that happens, he's going to be able to weave through traffic. He's going to be able to split lanes. He's going to be able to put space between them. And they really don't have much that they could do unless he poses a lethal danger to them. And then, of course, they have more force that they can employ in that event. In the event that he was to pose a threat to officers, that would change the game quite a bit. But other than that, it's really a game of watching him, especially with the luxury of that air support up above, able to track his each and every move from the sky, relaying his location to those ground units, and then being in position to end this safely and resolve it by taking him into custody, hopefully as peacefully as possible. But with a man who is believed to be armed, again, all bets are off, and we can only hope that his intentions are to just end this as peacefully as possible. Hopefully he doesn't even think about pulling out that weapon.
Yeah, and it looks like traffic slowing down right now in this area. But, the advantage for this individual on this motorbike is that he, can weave in and out of traffic. So when the cars are kind of stopped and backed up on the freeway there, that doesn't necessarily impact him as much.
Maybe getting off here. Looks like he is showing signs. You're right. We're in the thick of rush hour now as we make our way squarely into the downtown area, transitioning, I think, onto the 10 freeway, taking I believe that's going to be the eastbound transition from the 110 freeway to the 10. We'll see if that's correct. No, I think he's taking the westbound. Is that going to put him on the westbound, Rob? I think it's going to be onto the 10 freeway here. Here's the split. And
boy,
where'd he go?
Squeezing right behind that truck. There he is.
Behind the truck. Okay.
Yeah.
Getting off the freeway altogether. Getting off the freeway altogether at Cherry Street. Picking up a little bit of speed here. We'll see if those units can get off with him. But he has now put some serious distance between himself and those pursuing officers. We counted about a half a dozen units that were able to make their way onto the freeway with him. But again, he's been able to really put a lot of distance in between them. But hopefully they'll be able to catch up here as he passes the convention center. Now coming out onto, he's on Pico, coming up on, I believe that's going to be Figueroa, making the left northbound turn onto Fig. And this is going to be the classic move, right, guys? Right in the middle of downtown LA. And unless they can keep eyes on him, there are just too many hiding spots with a vehicle, any vehicle, let alone a motorcycle, where there are just so many parking garages, so many tall buildings. Even for that helicopter, it's about to get a lot trickier to maintain a visual of him. As you can see, we are able to keep that line of sight clear, but if he starts to starts to zigzag through these buildings, it's going to be a whole different ball game. I would not be surprised to see him dump this bike by any means.
Yeah, what's interesting, I'm wondering if there's any significance at all to this insignia that we're seeing on this, on what he's wearing, on the jacket, on the black jacket, the black pants, whether that has some meaning or not. And I'm very curious about that device that is in the backpack that may be one of those 360-degree cameras as described by one of our technicians here at ABC7. So I'm just curious about what exactly is going on here and why this person allegedly had a gun and at least made that evident to someone who felt unsure enough about it to call the police and to be concerned about the possession of that weapon. So there are a lot of questions that need to be answered here. We may not get him if he ends up dumping this bike and getting away from the police. We may not know what's going on in this person's mind, what this was, whether it was a stunt or whether it's something far more sinister. We just don't know yet. And but we do know, I think, is that he's in a position where he can get away from the pursuers if he wants. He certainly, if he wants to aggressively try to get away from the pursuing officers, he can. There's lots of places he's already passed that he could duck into or look like he's ducking into and go somewhere else. So it's curious right now. He's going straight northbound. It's still on Figueroa, is that correct?
Northbound Figueroa, he's kind of passing through the downtown area. He may come out on the north side, maybe even hit the 101 freeway here. He is splitting those lanes, putting real distance between him and any of those LAPD units, but he's navigating this traffic really well that is at a standstill at these various intersections. He's using every ounce of pavement at his disposal, making a right turn here, possibly onto 3rd Street or just going around traffic on Fig, and continuing, it looks like continuing northbound Fig. Northbound Fig, now on the north side of downtown LA. Thankfully, that air support helicopter able to maintain a visual, still following him from above and devoting still all of those ground resources to trying to catch up with him. So they are not letting up on him, but he is underneath that tunnel, a notorious spot for pursuits to end. We'll see if he comes out the other side or not. He may or may not. This is just an iconic spot where he may very well be gone with the wind. We'll see where he comes out here. It's always a little bit tricky as we make our way through downtown LA.
Yeah, and just based on how we saw him moving through downtown Los Angeles, I mean, it certainly looked as if he is familiar enough with this area to kind of know what turn to take versus what turn.
At one point, he actually had it in his hand. It wasn't just hanging off the tail. He actually had it in his hand and was waving it around as he was shooting with it, and then he put it back and was using his cell phone at various points. He appeared to be talking into the speakerphone, communicating with somebody, and now he just seems to be focused on hiding out as he has now made his way into downtown LA and is somewhere in these tunnels as they try and pick this up once again right underneath the road.
All right, well, we're going to leave you on station there, and we're going to pick this up if the pursuit continues, if there's some sighting, if there's a development here that we can track.
Yep.
The chase took place in downtown Los Angeles, where police apparently lost track of the motorcyclist. Armed suspect leads LAPD on chase through San Fernando Valley. Police shoot suspect during Woodland Hills standoff. Several animals were found inside the truck she was driving. A woman driving a white truck led authorities on a police chase through the San Fernando Valley on Monday morning, May 26, following a shooting involving officers, according to the Los Angeles Police Department.
Inside that van. Now, the law enforcement, they're going to have to contend with those animals. Hopefully, it will not turn into anything other than this person giving themselves up and going into custody. You can see LAPD just basically following along there, a number of them, because of the dogs and the situation. This woman has been driving on surface streets the entire time, has not made her way onto any of the freeways. Ventura Boulevard looks like a ghost town out there. Look, it is wide open and empty, and those speeds seem to be staying low. Now, apparently, this woman is not pulling over because of the possibility of the other warrants that might be involved in this. Skyfox still kind of moving a little bit away from this because of the weather situation. We are not allowed to loiter in Van Nuys's airspace. That's one of the reasons why we're kind of moving away. Hopefully, the vehicle will make their way towards us. But right now, the LAPD, this is going to be Van Nuys Division, they're tasked with bringing this to a stop, dealing with those large dogs, and getting that woman into custody while keeping everybody safe.
I mean, for how slow moving the van is and how many police cars are lined up in a row behind her, it looks like she's getting a police escort. I know that's not the case, but do you know if this woman has the weapon inside of the van?
You know, that's those types of questions, law enforcement's working with that as well. This is one of those things. It's like, you know, we can kind of poke a little fun at it, but I am definitely concerned of the fact that there is some talk about a gun being in play. They've been asking the right questions on the radio. We've been ear hustling in. We've been listening to what they're saying, and the right questions are: is the gun been seen? What is the situation with the gun? Those are the type of questions that they're asking, and those officers have those are the right questions. But the fact that it was mentioned that there is a gun involved is going to be part of the problem. They cannot just approach this vehicle just trying to take this woman into custody, and then now add in the fact that there's some dogs inside there as well. Don't know the demeanor of those animals, and this just becomes more and more complicated. You can see it right there. We're making that turn now. She made that turn on Reseda, so we're heading up into the hills right now. I wouldn't venture to say that van possibly, this is just speculation, that she might actually be living in that van. We did take a good look at it when we passed over it. We looked inside the dash. It is full of stuff inside that vehicle, and then to know that there's 3 dogs in there as well. Now, law enforcement, they are still behind it. We understand that a helicopter may be joining this in a moment or two. We're keeping our distance because of the airspace, and they're not allowing us to make our way into this area. So we're doing the end of lens thing again out here, and occasionally, well, we got lucky. She actually made a turn towards us. So maybe she'll make her way out of the Van Nuys airspace, and we can continue on. But right now, law enforcement really tasked with bringing this to an end safely. And of course, I'm concerned about the animals and the driver involved in this pursuit.
Well, the vehicle is going slower than what we're used to when it comes to pursuit, and it does truly look like she is being escorted. If someone is just looking at this from the outside without any knowledge of what the situation is, looks like picking up speed a little bit, but now we're in a neighborhood. I suppose the good news here is not many people are out and about. It is a holiday after all, and many people are home, maybe sleeping in, so they're not around. At the same time, because people are off today, they might be outside doing things, right? Because they might take advantage of that. So that just always makes us nervous watching these things unfold. It's unpredictable. And let's see, maybe it looks like they came to a stop.
Yeah.
She turned around.
Yeah, there was a cul-de-sac right there, and you saw that van just kind of jump over the curb. So she's definitely being aggressive towards officers. That's something we definitely don't want to see at all. And now that van is again moving along. Now the law enforcement, it might take them a moment or two to make that U-turn, but she is definitely not going to be lost. It isn't like they're just going to kind of just toss up their hands and say, okay, this is over. And, you know, the traffic being light can be a plus and a minus. Folks might be a little bit, you know, not paying as much attention. Maybe speeds are a little bit higher. We've seen a couple of those today as well. So it is definitely still a dangerous situation. That van's still moving along at a pretty good clip, like you mentioned. And then, of course, that driver, she is running from law enforcement. We do not know the exact state of mind that she's in right now. And if there was gunplay involved, this could be something emotional as well. So there's a lot going on, and of course law enforcement, they're trained to handle these things. Right now though, we're driving around through the, this is the neighborhood, this is Woodland Hills, Tarzana area. This is going to be north of Ventura Boulevard. These are expensive homes out here in very nice neighborhoods. Does she know this area? Is this a destination, or basically just kind of driving right now just to keep this vehicle moving? She did make her way into a cul-de-sac, so that would lead me to believe that possibly she does not know where she is, but now it looks like we're making our way back out onto Ventura Boulevard. More law enforcement out in the area. Possibility of spike strips, that was in play as well, but not sure if they actually implemented that, but they did mention it, that they were thinking about using spike strips. Right now though, you can see it, wrong side of the road, thank goodness, extremely light traffic, but still, it could be a dangerous situation, and we just don't know what the mindset is right now of that driver. We do know that she doesn't want to get pulled over. That's an obvious, but what's going on, with the possibility of a weapon, and then also those dogs in the vehicle, this is there's a lot going on, and law enforcement, they've got a lot on their plate right now to bring this to an end safely.
And we know that there's no pursuit is typical, but when it comes to somebody who might be suspected of having a weapon actively in a car, what's the protocol for officers? Because that would seem to be an immediate danger to the public.
Immediate danger to the public, immediate danger to the officers when they try to pull this person over. They will be extremely cautious in making any kind of approach. They won't make an approach. They'll have that suspect come out of the vehicle. Also, the pit maneuvers we've seen in the past, they won't use it because of the fact that the vehicle might spin around and the driver with the weapon might be pointing at officers. So there is a lot going on. It is a different type of game plan for sure for law enforcement. They have protocols in place for this, but again, you can kind of see right now what I was talking about earlier on with the vehicle being filled with, I'm just going to call it stuff. Also, there's a broken window on the side there, and then we are hearing that there are 3 dogs in there. Don't know where they got that information. I clearly can't see it. There are no windows on the back of that vehicle either. So, but we have heard them say it multiple times, three dogs inside that vehicle, and that suspect, the female, wanted for questioning involving a gun.
It seems like she's picking up speed, and we noticed a few times, of course, blowing through those red lights. So it seems to be that she's getting a little bit more irritated, perhaps, and taking more risks as we watch this unfold.
Irritated or desperate, whatever it is, look, you can see also folks on the ground down there, they hear those lights and sirens, and a lot of those people are doing what they're supposed to do, either kind of just stop where they are or get off over to the right, and that's what we just saw there at that intersection. That van just kind of moved their way through there. We're making our way down Ventura Boulevard. Woodland Hills is where we are now, and anybody that's driven this knows that we're going to make our way over to Calabasas. I really feel like this driver doesn't have a destination, is just basically driving, biding time, hopefully on a cell phone, maybe talking to somebody, trying to work this out. But the reality is just pull over, follow the directions from the law enforcement. The animals might be put in a shelter for a little while, but all in all, I think that might be the best outcome for everybody involved. Right now, though, this is kind of, I feel for the officers with this one. This is going to be very difficult. Even if this does come to an end, is like, how do you get that woman out and along with those animals? A lot of times we'll see those animals try to protect somebody because they feel like their owner is being threatened by the law enforcement. You just don't want to see a situation like that unfold.
Yeah, it does look like perhaps this van might be her home. There is a lot of junk and clutter in the dash area. Is this the dog you were saying? Is it hanging his head out the window?
Yeah, yes. There's a dog. Looks like a Doberman. It looks like a Doberman out there. And, they are very loyal animals, but you can see that dog is out. And it might not be a Doberman. But definitely you can see its head sticking out the window there. Pups is probably just enjoying the drive, might be picking up on the tenseness with the driver. But right now, this is still a very really serious situation. And back into one of these nicer neighborhoods out here, law enforcement, they're just kind of following along, like you said. And now we're actually having a couple of extra officers joining the call here. And I have a feeling that's more for when this does come to an end, that they have the extra manpower there to bring this to an end safely, getting that driver into custody. Right now, though, making our way through these streets up here, Woodland Hills, I'm going to get a little bit of a look to see if this is another cul-de-sac. A lot of these roads just kind of go up and then swoop back down, so that's probably what's going to happen right now. But LAPD, again, this is a serious situation. They need to keep the public safe, they need to keep themselves safe, and they also have to keep that suspect safe. And it's becoming more and more difficult as this continues on. And again, there you can see the dog sticking its head out the window, kind of enjoying the ride, but I'm just so worried that somebody or one of the animals is going to get injured.
All right. Yeah, so if you are just joining us, 8 o'clock here on Good Day LA, we are keeping track of this white van in a pursuit. Started in the Valley. A woman was wanted in an investigation involving a gun. We are not clear if that gun is still in the van. We do know that there are 3 large dogs. As you can see, one of them was hanging its head out the window. This is a pursuit that began about 45 minutes ago, a half hour ago. And is now winding its way through Woodland Hills. And Stu, you've been keeping an eye on it. It seems to be, slow going. However, we've been seeing the driver act a bit more erratically as time has gone on here.
And we
Definitely.
believe, Stu, that this individual lives in the van. That's some of the information we've gathered. And then just observing, from what we can, obviously there are no back windows there, but the passenger side window seems to be broken. And then there's a lot of items, whatever items those are, on the dashboard there. So it gives off the image that perhaps this is also this individual's residence.
Yeah, and it just piles on. It becomes more and more desperate for that driver. If this is her residence, she definitely doesn't want to get if it gets impounded. These are things that might be realistically going through that woman's mind right now. It's if they pull me over and I go into custody, my dogs are going to go into a pound, my vehicle is going to get impounded, and how am I going to get my life back? Whatever it is, how am I going to get back to that point? I don't want to give up my pets probably, and I don't want to give up my home. So these are all things that might be going on inside that driver's mind. LAPD, though, their concern is the safety of anybody in the area. Looks like we are doing something.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that is all about right there. Went up onto the curb, going back up on the curb again. Making our way, and there was the spike strips. So they did use the spike strips.
Okay.
Now we know. Yeah. So she saw those spike strips being deployed, and it did her evasive maneuver right there.
So she is paying attention and very well aware of what's going on. So she's sharp, I guess you could say, right? She's aware that they want to stop her. There are several police cruisers behind her. We've seen that number actually increase as this has gone on. And now you have officers attempting to deploy those spike strips.
Yeah, and if they did it once, we'll possibly see it again. That one was pretty, pretty obvious. We've seen them be sneaky in the past, where they'll kind of just hide out and wait for that vehicle to make their way into their sights. We also got to say, we've been talking about the weather today, and it is definitely cloudy out here. Skyfox is avoiding some clouds right now, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of got wide. And if I'm going to lose it, hopefully I didn't lose it right now. We're going to keep an eye out for it. But again, this is part of the problems that even LAPD has involved out here. They have to keep themselves safe. And there we go. We did find it once again. I went to the wrong spot. We call it like it is, and continuing to wind its way up into the hillsides. This definitely is one of those ones where hopefully she does it. Hopefully or not hopefully, she winds up in a spot where she can drive drive out. If these are dead ends, we've seen it in the past where she did make that in that cul-de-sac, do an evasive maneuver, drive across some lawns to get away from the law enforcement. But as it stands right now, continuing on up here into these streets, the very tree line, so it's going to be more and more difficult for us to see it. We can't make our way up there because of those clouds, because where those clouds meet the hillside, that's where the Skyfox will meet the hillside as well. We do not want that at all. So right now we're going to keep an eye on it the best we can. LAPD, they're on the ground. They are definitely in pursuit where this woman goes.
Shortly after 8 a.m., the driver entered a residential neighborhood in Woodland Hills, near Delita and Del Moreno streets. A few minutes later, the suspect was seen briefly driving onto the sidewalk to avoid the prongs placed by officers. A large dog was also seen sticking its head out of the driver's side window. The suspect eventually stopped at a dead end near Arcana Road and Marmora Street, where the roadblock was initiated. The woman was arrested around 10:15 a.m. after being shot by police. She was placed on a stretcher and placed in an ambulance, where she was listed in critical condition. The dog was later seen inside the truck being loaded onto a truck by animal control. Two suspects pursued in suspected stolen Jeep in Hawthorne. Police began pursuing a black Jeep believed to be stolen. As the suspect drove through parts of Englewood and Hawthorne on the evening of Friday, May 30th, the driver was driving recklessly on the opposite side of the road, narrowly avoiding traffic.
This LAPD pursuit, hot pursuit down the 110 freeway. The suspect in that gray Jeep zigzagging his way through southwest LA, eventually making his way onto the Harbor Freeway here. Excuse me? Say again? Copy. That tire's going to come off. I do. Well, you're looking at the southbound side of the 110 freeway here. Copy that. Sorry about that. Southbound side of the 110 freeway. He got off at Manchester very briefly and then got right back on the freeway. This was after weaving through southwest LA for a good 5, maybe even 10 minutes or so. At some points getting in the wrong way, going the wrong way against traffic on very busy surface streets. Now he's on the 110 freeway. LAPD with a full pursuit package here. 3 black and whites right behind him, attempting to hand this off to California Highway Patrol if it stays on the freeway. Right now they're transitioning through LAX's airspace here. We're coming up on the 105 freeway. Right now appears to be committed to the southbound 110 here. We'll see if that changes. There's a lot of ramps here as we make our way along the west side here. He's behind that ramp right there. You can see it looks like he might be transitioning, just very hard to tell. Is he coming this way? Westbound 105? Westbound 105, getting onto the 105 freeway, which is the less traveled freeway. If you look up and down the 105, very heavy traffic coming towards us on the eastbound side. He is now heading away from us on the westbound side of the 105 freeway, again, heading back through Linwood here. So we're going to continue to follow this pursuit. Unknown what the want is. We do not know how many people are inside the vehicle at this point. It was very difficult to see inside that vehicle, but he does appear to be pretty desperate to get away from those pursuing officers. So it was a little unclear. Yeah, you're right. It was a little unclear whether it was a tire that was running flat or if the actual axle was destabilized. I can't tell. It looks as he picks up speed, it seems to be wobbling a little bit less. What I can tell you is he has been in at least one, maybe even more minor collisions during the course of this pursuit. And I'm talking about real love taps, gentle bumper-to-bumper type stuff, but nothing major. There's no major damage obvious other than the stability of that front left wheel. So again, whether it's the tire that was misbehaving, or now it appears that it's more likely the rim or the axle that was for some reason a little bit wobbly as he was traveling a little bit slower. And as you mentioned, as he picks up steam here, it looks to be a little bit more stable as we peer up on this pursuit from the rear. Coming up on the rear here, it looks like the vehicle is behaving okay, at least for the time being. Well, as long as he's on the 105 freeway, we're going to maintain the south side here, and we should be able to transition through Hawthorne with him here. We're coming up on Hawthorne Airport as he starts to pull over to the right. So if you're looking at it from our angle here, we're looking from south to north. He is traveling from east to west, and the Bravo airspace basically includes the area north of the 105 and west of the 110 freeway. That's where things get hairy, not only for us up here in Air 7, but also for that LAPD air support helicopter, which is why they have invited those ground units to re-engage the pursuit. For some time, they put it into tracking mode, and once he got close to LAX's airspace, they started the pursuit once again. It looks like he's making a southbound turn, exiting the 105 freeway, southbound on Crenshaw Boulevard, continuing this dangerous chase here through South LA with no intention of slowing down whatsoever. And again, the one thing we really are unclear about is how all of this started. What precipitated this pursuit is still very much a question mark, but there does appear to be clear intent on his part to get away and clear intent on LAPD's part to not let that happen. So now he's making a right turn. He's going to be heading westbound on 120th Street away from Crenshaw Boulevard, heading back towards the west here, going through another red light here, not obeying stop signs, not obeying red lights. That has been the pattern throughout this pursuit. We don't know. Very much unclear at this point whether there's anybody else inside that vehicle. We do not know whether he is armed or whether LAPD has any of that intelligence or whether they are operating in the blind. Again, we don't know how all this started. He's now making a left turn off of 120th, southbound now on Prairie Avenue through Hawthorne. That's going to take him away from LAX's airspace, gives us an opportunity to catch up with him. It also gives that air support helicopter the opportunity to maintain a visual. And now I am hearing Giovanna and Philip that this is a stolen vehicle. So a stolen vehicle now in a parking lot here, heading in through a liquor store, trying to come out the other side on Broadway. This vehicle does not belong to him, and he is driving it like he stole it. You can tell. Ooh, cross traffic. Little close call here. I'm totally with you, Philip. Never seen anything like that. I mean, that wheel almost looked like it was about to come off, and now the vehicle is behaving almost completely normal. As we look at it from the driver's side here, we were paying attention to that front left wheel, now making another left turn here onto 133rd Street, coming towards us. We're going to get a better shot of the passenger side of the vehicle to see if there's any misbehavior by either of those wheels. But right now, that vehicle is traveling in a straight line directly towards us, and for the first time, we can peer through that driver's side window, that driver's windshield, and it does appear there is a passenger inside of the vehicle. So to answer Giovanna's question, we now know of at least 2 people inside of the stolen vehicle, and getting a little bit of a closer shot here through that tinted window on the driver's side as he picks up some speed here. And I can't tell, honestly, whether it is a man or a woman, quite frankly, but he is now, again, southbound on Prairie Avenue. Oh, you're so right about that. And every time we've seen any encounter with any kind of traffic jam, he's really shown little hesitation to weave around traffic, go the wrong way, and at some points even making contact with some of these innocent drivers on the road here. So now he's in a much more congested, more narrow area here on Cordary Avenue off of Prairie, and you can see, I'm sorry, let me just lower this radio really quick here. Southbound on Cordary Avenue, and still continuing down this more industrial area here. So we've been through residential neighborhoods, we've been through more commercial areas, we've been on the freeway, off the freeway, now coming out on a major at Rosecrans Avenue, now coming westbound on Rosecrans, slowing down a little bit. We'll go ahead and widen out to see how far back those LAPD units are. They are trying to catch up, but as you can tell, they have pulled back just a little bit, whether they were unable to squeeze through traffic there. Look at this, going the wrong way in between those cars here. Look at this. That was a wild move there, and there comes LAPD right behind him as he slows down here. Not sure why. He might be even coming to a stop here at Fonthill Avenue and Rosecrans. LAPD now out of their vehicle. Guns drawn, aimed squarely at the driver's side of that Jeep as he comes to a full stop here on Fonthill Avenue for no apparent reason. Not sure if the vehicle is giving up or if the suspect has just decided to surrender. It looks like it might be a female driver with a passenger now stepping out of the vehicle. You can see them with their hands up, and this has come to a random and sudden stop as they appear to be willing to end this finally after some dangerous driving and at times going the wrong way, including the very end there, swerving across the oncoming lanes of Rosecrans Avenue, now surrendering to these LAPD officers on Fonthill. A very sudden end here, and we don't know how much more that vehicle had left in it, but obviously it doesn't really matter at this point. Finally, fortunately, this has come to a peaceful resolution, it appears, as at least 2 people are getting out of that vehicle. They will eventually check the back seats and make sure that vehicle is empty.
The pursuit ended when the driver stopped the vehicle in the area of Fonthill and Rosecrans streets in the Moneta Gardens area of Hawthorne. A female driver and a male passenger exited the vehicle and were taken into custody without incident.
It's just a prime example of how you just can never really understand what is going through somebody's head when they put on this kind of a display behind the wheel there. I mean, we saw so much unpredictability there, making very random turns, really speeding to try and get away from those pursuing officers with no intention of slowing down, and then randomly coming to a complete stop right here on Fonthill Avenue as they take these 2 into custody. That vehicle, you know, we understand that it's not their vehicle. It was a stolen car, but again, to remind you, we saw that front wheel almost ready to come off, and somehow she was able to recover, regain full control, and continue maneuvering the vehicle as if nothing was wrong whatsoever. But for whatever reason, she decided to pull over, and thankfully nobody has been hurt here.